All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining. We are moving on with our human body unit. We've got muscles today. And don't forget, there's some muscles homework in Schoology and an upcoming quiz about skeletons and muscles coming up. Let's take a look at our question of the day, which is, what's going on? Let's check it out.
Between 2008 and 2012, archaeologists excavated the rubble of an ancient hospital in England. In the process, they uncovered a number of skeletons. One in particular belonged to a wealthy male who lived in the 11th or 12th century and died of leprosy between the ages of 18 and 25. How do we know all this? Simply by examining some old soil-caked bones? Even centuries after death, skeletons carry unique features that tell us about their identities. And using modern tools and techniques, we can read those features as clues. This is a branch of science known as biological anthropology. It allows researchers to piece together details about ancient individuals and identify historical events that affected whole populations. When researchers uncover a skeleton, some of the first clues they gather, like age and gender, lie in its morphology, which is the structure, appearance, and size of a skeleton. Bones like the clavicle stop growing at age 25, so a skeleton with the clavicle that hasn't fully formed must be younger than that. Similarly, the plates in the cranium can continue fusing up to age 40 and sometimes beyond. By combining these with some microscopic skeletal clues, physical anthropologists can estimate an approximate age of death. Meanwhile, pelvic bones reveal gender. Biologically, female pelvises are wider, allowing women to give birth, whereas males are narrower. Bones also betray the signs of ancient disease. Disorders like anemia leave their traces on the bones. And the condition of teeth can reveal clues to factors like diet and malnutrition, which sometimes correlate with wealth or poverty. A protein called collagen can give us even more profound details. The air we breathe, water we drink, and food we eat leaves permanent traces in our bones and teeth in the form of chemical compounds. These compounds contain measurable quantities called isotopes. Stable isotopes in bone collagen and tooth enamel varies among mammals, dependent on where they lived and what they ate. So, by analyzing these isotopes, we can draw direct inferences regarding the diet and location of historic people. Not only that, but during life, bones undergo a constant cycle of remodeling. So if someone moves from one place to another, bones synthesized after that move will also reflect the new isotopic signatures of the surrounding environment. That means that skeletons can be used like migratory maps. For instance, between 1 and 650 AD, the great city of Teotihuacan in Mexico bustled with thousands of people. Researchers examined the isotope ratios in skeletons' tooth enamel, which held details of their diets when they were young. They found evidence for significant migration into the city. A majority of the individuals were born elsewhere. With further geological and skeletal analysis, they may be able to map where those people came from. That work in Teotihuacan is also an example of how bioanthropologists study skeletons in cemeteries and mass graves, then analyze their similarities and differences. From that information, they can learn about cultural beliefs, social norms, wars, and what caused their deaths. Today, we use these tools to answer big questions about how forces like migration and disease shape the modern world. DNA analysis is even possible in some relatively well-preserved ancient remains. That's helping us understand how diseases like tuberculosis have evolved over the centuries, so we can build better treatments for people today. Ancient skeletons can tell us a surprisingly great deal about the past. So if your remains are someday buried intact, what might archaeologists of the distant future learn from them?
Well, what do you think? Maybe your skeleton could tell future generations about us. Just leave your skeleton in the closet when you're done with it. All right, guys, we are moving on. Today we're going to look at our notes packet for some muscle information and a quick skeletal review in the form of going over the homework. So hopefully you guys did a great job on your skeleton homework. Let's take a closer look at the answers. Skeleton does not carry nutrients to the body. That is the cardiovascular system. The diagram is showing us in B, sorry, I'm reading the question wrong. In A, A is the blood cells. The bone marrow makes the blood. So bones making blood. Quite interesting. And choice B is the cushion, the cartilage that protects the bones from wear and tear. The picture of a bone was what we just looked at. And cartilage over time can wear down, causing arthritis. And our matching. And this question, which was a little tricky, asking which student correctly marked the bone cushion and the bone part that makes blood cells. Those are cartilage and bone marrow, which was student 1, choice A. And finally, another chart to match some definitions. So it seems like it's important that we know what the term cartilage, marrow, ligament, tendons, bone, and joint are. So please make sure you review those and are prepared. All right, today we're going to look at our muscular system. You can see there's plenty of muscles, and they have plenty of functions. There are different types and some fun facts. So to complete your chart, which you can start right now, you can open your notes packet to the muscle page and complete your chart on your own, and then come back and check your answers. So let's look at how the muscle system moves things. Let's see what is moved. Bones, movement of bones. Muscles move bones. That's why your body moves. Muscles are needed to move blood in your heart. Your muscles are using to move gases. Did you get that one? Breathing, of course. And what's the final thing? The food, right? Digestive system needs muscles to push the food down, through, and out. All right, tissues and organs that you can find in the skeletal system. Now, there are different types of muscles. Let's see if we can take a quick look. Okay, we have skeletal muscles here on the right. Have the striped appearance. They are connected to bones by tendons, and they pull. They pull. They contract. They shorten and pull on a tendon. In order to move a bone in the opposite direction, there's another muscle on the other side, contracting, pulling on a different tendon, which moves it in the other direction. So let's take a look at skeletal muscle. Muscle to bone. The T is tendon. Muscle, then tendon, then bone. It is a muscle that you can control in a voluntary way. For example, the bicep of the arm. Bicep muscles contract, pulling a tendon, moving the arm. Next we have our smooth muscle. As you can see, it would be in internal organs like digestive system. Looks a little different under the microscope, giving it the name smooth. And it is not, or involuntary, meaning you cannot control it by thinking about it. You cannot control your stomach rumbling or the food being digested, which might be a relief so that you don't have to worry about thinking about that. It just happens. And third, while we're looking at this, let's look at cardiac or heart muscle, which is similar to our skeletal muscle in that it looks stripy, but a little bit different in the fact that it never gets to rest, and it is always involuntary under the control of the brain, but not the part of the brain that you can think of. So we're filling out our chart. We've got our smooth muscle in the internal organs, involuntary, otherwise known as you cannot control it, like in the stomach. And we've got our cardiac muscle found in the heart, also involuntary, and is rarely going to get a rest. All right, let's look at some fun facts. Muscles can only contract, they pull, or relax. And you can feel that in your arm when you pull your bicep. When you tighten that muscle, your elbow moves and you are contracting on that tendon to move that bone. Speaking of which, tendons are what connect muscles to bones. And muscles depend on, you got it, food or glucose for energy and oxygen to release that energy from food. And now we know why we breathe harder when we exercise, because we're getting more oxygen, and we might feel hungry after a run because we've used up the glucose. And that energy is a molecule made by cells called ATP in the mitochondria, which provide energy through the process of cellular respiration. And if you remembered all of that from units past, then you're really starting to tie this all together, which really is great. All right, so here we go with a quick review of what we did today. We talked about muscles. Here's skeletal muscles connected to bones through tendons. Muscles contract. And then our tricep muscle will contract as our bicep relaxes to move the arm in the other direction. The requirements for muscles to work are glucose and oxygen, which are the necessary materials needed for cellular respiration, which really starts tying your blood, your lungs, your digestive system all together in one human body system. So, great job if you remembered all that. So now what you should do is go to your Schoology, look for your muscles homework, fill that out, complete that, do a little review. You are ready to take a quiz coming up in a few days. All right, so thanks so much, you guys, for joining and trying science, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.